Transportation statewide is in dire straits. How do you plan on gaining the funding necessary to fix the problem?
Well, if I remember reading it right in the Denver Post, we were supposed to get $400 million in stimulus funding for our transportation. Where did it go? And while they're hiding that money and balancing budgets with it, the FASTER legislation goes through the Assembly. I was down on the Senate floor and I watched Senator Penry fight a tough fight that day against FASTER legislation, and the Democrats rammed it down our throats because they had us outnumbered almost 2-to-1. And so now we have that money, but is it dedicated to transportation? I suspect that money is going to probably disappear over into some special programs as well. So we should have been using stimulus money for what it was intended to be used for, and that was for transportation. For those 164 bridges that they claim to need to be replaced, why weren't they replaced? Instead, they're fixing bike paths in Jefferson County with the money. This is insanity. There's no accountability, and we should have used that money for transportation the way it was intended to be used.
John. Thanks. I didn't want to cut off your applause there. It was deserved. I thought your answer was a good one. I was against the car tax, and if I'm the governor, I'll lead a charge to repeal it. What's happened in Colorado is to transportation funding is the functional equivalent of what's happened to Social Security in Washington. We all know the story. Social Security, there's a trust fund. What happened? Congress dipped into it and they spent it on other things. In Colorado, the same is true. The legislature, as Senator Andrews remembers well, has slowly, gradually siphoned off dollars that were originally created dedicated for transportation use, for roads and bridge and congestion, and spent it on other things. Now we do have a transportation shortfall. So what's the solution? Start spending those transportation dollars where they should be. What I've said is this economy recovers and revenues are restored to the state budget. We need to incrementally phase out of those programs, those transportation dollars that are going to programs, and get them back where they're supposed to be, to roads and bridges. That's $300 and some odd million by 2007 estimate in the near term, more than what is being generated by the governor's car tax. So the answer is let's start spending transportation dollars on transportation.
Scott, you and I have talked on the radio about that cow camp wagon of yours. What's new?
Well, I got fined $100 on the thing to just license things, so I'm ready to get rid of that too. But the reality of it is, look, there's no magic bullets out there. If you take a look at advertising, political advertising of 30, 40 years ago, it was transportation and education. You're never going to be able to satisfy those departments. And although we talk about when the economy improves, look, we have some tough times ahead of us. This economy's not going to improve tomorrow. And if a candidate sits up here, or this governor tells you we're going to have the money we need in the next couple of years, and at the same time we're going to cut these taxes, they're not being frank. What we need to look at very carefully is project by project. We do have a priority list, and we need to stick with that priority list. Second of all, traffic management. I mean, look what we did on the I-70 corridor. That's a corridor that is jam-packed, 4 hours on a Friday afternoon and about 5 or 6 hours on a Sunday afternoon. What did they do? They put tow trucks, big trailer truck tow trucks out there, about every 15 miles that can get and clear that. It had amazing results to it. Traffic management, customized funding, and sticking with the priority list. That's what we do until this economy improves and we have a little more money available to do the big projects that we have to do over time. We've got to do them.